As a part of the comprehensive management of a patient with diabetes at the primary healthcare level, it is important to have an assessment at the initial stages of treatment of a patient, because the comprehensive assessment gives you an idea of the comorbidities of the patient characteristics with which you are going to plan your treatment management. Comprehensive assessment starts with the diagnosis, establishing the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. Here we have 4 criteria to define a patient as having diabetes mellitus. One is a fasting blood sugar level of more than 126. Here fasting is defined as no calorie intake for at least 8 hours, or a 2-hour postprandial blood glucose of more than 200 mg per deciliter during a OGTT. The test should be performed as described by the WHO using a glucose load containing 75 grams of glucose dissolved in water, or a HbA1c at any point more than 6.5%, or a patient who presents with classical symptoms of hyperglycemia and a recorded random blood sugar of more than 200 mg per deciliter establishes the diagnosis for diabetes mellitus. So, what is the natural history of patients with type 2 diabetes? So, the average age for a patient to get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes is around roughly 45 years. So, there is a phase for almost 5 years or so, or less than that, in which the patient does not have any symptoms or minimal symptoms and does not have any form of complications. So, beyond 5 years, patient tends to develop other comorbidities or complications of diabetes, importantly hypertension and dyslipidemia, along with that retinopathy. So, as the years progress by, patients tend to develop microalbuminuria. So, this is somewhere less than 10 years, around 8 to 9 years, patients tend to develop microalbuminuria. As the disease progresses, patients develop evidence for a cardiovascular disease, be it any form, in the form of acute coronary event or a chronic stable angina. Again, as the disease progresses, patient tends to develop macroalbuminuria. This happens around 20 years from the onset of diabetes, and as the renal disorder progresses, patient develops anemia and other complications of chronic kidney disease. Finally, the patient lands up in end stage renal disease. So, with the overall diagnosis of diabetes and the progression of disorder along with its complications, the life expectancy of a patient diagnosed with type 2 diabetes is shortened by an average of 10 years. So, as the years progress by, the incidence of mortality related to cardiovascular disease and renal disease increases. So, with regard to the comprehensive assessment of a patient with type 2 diabetes at the PHC level, we want a concise history which includes all the parameters which are important in deciding the treatment for the patient. The important ones are age, hypertension, ischemic heart disease, be it any form, in the form of angina, myocardial infarction, heart failure, cardiovascular accidents in the form of stroke or transient ischemic attacks, retinopathy, chronic kidney disease in a patient who is already diagnosed with diabetes, dyslipidemia, lifestyle and socioeconomic status of the patient. All these histories will tend to evaluate them in terms of the duration of the comorbidity, the progression and the current treatment regimen. And also we will have to have an idea of the functional status of the patient before we could decide on the treatment. So, apart from history, we have to have a complete physical examination of the patient, which includes measurement of height, weight, body mass index, blood pressure, visual acuity, fundus examination, palpation of thyroid to look for enlargement of thyroid gland, and a foot examination. I will be discussing with foot examination as a separate video. So, with regard to BMI, generally Indian population tend to have a lower BMI cutoffs, where the normal ranges from 18.5 to 22.9. Anything above 22.9 is considered as overweight, and obesity stage 1 is 25 to 29.9, and more than 30 is obesity stage 2. So, apart from history and physical examination, we also tend to do a few laboratory and other investigations which tend to establish the stage of the diabetes and the complications. So, we need to do baseline ECG, serum cholesterol and lipid profile, urine albumin, spot urine albumin or creatinine ratio, serum creatinine, thyroid function test and serum electrolytes. This will give us an idea of the cardiovascular status of the patient as well as the complications. By this physical examination, we generally tend to find out if the patient has evidence of metabolic syndrome, which has the following criteria defined by central obesity, defined as a waist circumference of more than 102 centimeters in male and 88 centimeters in females, triglyceride level more than or equal to 150 milligram per deciliter, HDL cholesterol less than 40 milligram per deciliter in men and less than 50 milligram per deciliter in women, a blood pressure of more than or equal to 130/85 and a fasting glucose of more than 110 milligram per deciliter. These criteria define metabolic syndrome. After you have diagnosed a patient, taken a history and have done a clinical examination along with the laboratory and other investigations, we will decide whether the patient can be treated in your PHC or the patient can be referred to a different center due to various reasons. So, why do we have to refer a patient? Sometimes for a routine care, at the onset of diagnosis, some patients have to be referred for a routine care. For example, patients requiring a dilated fundus examination to an eye care professional and to a nutritionist for medical nutrition therapy, medical social worker to education about diabetes self-management, dentist for comprehensive dental and periodontal examination, and if mental health professional if it is indicated. Apart from this, we have several reasons for referral to a higher center in terms of the patient has at presentation, if the patient is diagnosed as type 1 diabetes, gestational diabetes, suspected maturity onset diabetes of the young, renal failure at the onset, diabetic ketoacidosis or hyperglycemic hyperosmolar syndrome, cardiac failure, neuropathy, diabetic foot or retinopathy. In these scenarios, patient may have to be referred at the presentation to a higher center for initial management. Subsequent management may be taken at the PHC level. So, suppose if a patient is receiving a treatment in your PHC and subsequently develops some form of complication or during follow up patient has uncontrolled sugars, he may have to be referred to a higher center. Instances such as no response to a dual oral therapy, no resolution of symptoms, recurrent hypoglycemia, worsening renal impairment and documented or suspected microvascular or macrovascular complications of diabetes. In these scenarios, you may have to refer the patient to a higher center. Apart from this, patient education is important as to in the initial visit, explanation has to be given in terms of what is diabetes, what are the implications, why the need for therapy is important and the modalities of therapy which are available such as diet, exercise, lifestyle modifications and drugs, and explaining to them to recognize symptoms of hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia and the importance of controlling other factors apart from sugar control in patients with diabetes, and to advise on insulin storage and method of administration if at all it is indicated. And follow up visits, it is important to ensure patient education has to be done in terms of ensuring compliance and reinforcement of compliance during every visit, and to look for symptoms suggestive of complications during every follow up visit. Follow up care includes during each visit patient's blood sugar and weight needs to be checked and to ask for symptoms of hypoglycemia. And in the long run, every 3 to 6 months, fasting blood sugar and postprandial blood sugar once in 3 months if the patient's blood sugar is under control, or monthly in cases where the control is yet to be achieved. Instead, we can use HbA1c at least twice in a year who have a stable blood sugar profile, or in patients who have not reached their therapeutic goals, or in whom we are planning to change or recently changed the therapy, we may have to do HbA1c at a higher frequency, which is quarterly. So, apart from each visit and every 3 to 6 months follow up, we have to check for these parameters annually to look for complications and to pick them up in the early stage before their progression into end stage disease. Important ones are fasting lipid profile, dilated retinal examination, urine dipstick examination for albuminuria, serum creatinine for CKD screening, monofilament testing for foot examination, basically to look for peripheral neuropathy. This has to be done at least once a year, and urinary albumin can be checked as a spot urine albumin to creatinine ratio or estimated GFR in regardless of the treatment of diabetes. And patients who have already developed albuminuria or creatinine derangement or eGFR less than 60, they may have to be monitored more frequently, at least twice annually, to guide further therapy. So, with regard to the comprehensive health assessment, there are few points for a better care of patient at the primary healthcare level. To maintain an individual case record incorporating all aspects of comprehensive assessment, including history, extensive physical examination, laboratory findings, and then the plan for follow-up. It is important to treat the comorbidities. Not only diabetes, the comorbidities also contribute to the overall mortality of the patient. So, it is important to treat the comorbidities, make a proper follow-up schedule and communicating it to the patient, and re-ensuring that the patient follow-ups at the specific date is important, and appropriate referrals at appropriate intervals is required, and patient care is the most important one above all, because compliance decides everything, and involvement of family members in the patient care and treatment decision has an additive role in addition to patient education. Early screening for complications at regular intervals. So, these are the points for better care of a patient at the PHC level. Thank you.